Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another weekend market watch. Today is Saturday, April 19th. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. I had a long weekend, it being the weekend of Easter. I had Friday off, so very nice to have that. Market watch. So I didn't do one last week because I just felt like the market was so volatile. I wanted to let it settle, and I feel like now is a good time to talk about it. There's a lot of big things that have changed, a lot of things that have happened. Obviously, we got the quarter century Stampede set released, so that was pretty cool. We're not going to go over those today because, again, I think that is super volatile. I think it's not a set that's worth discussing right now. I think it needs another week to settle before we really start talking about prices. But also, we've got Alliance Insight coming up very, very shortly. So I want to go ahead and talk about some other things to get you guys prepared. So let's start off with Malice. Now, I have been a big believer ever since the ban was dropped that Malice was the better deck compared to Ryziel. It's getting insane support in Alliance Insight. It can utilize the Adagnister support as well as its own support, and it got Mathematic Circular off the ban list. Now, do I think Mathematic Circular is the make or break? No, I think it's just a fun engine that you can run in it, but I think this deck is going to be substantially better than a lot of the other cards that we're going to, or a lot of the other decks that we're going to see. Now, luckily, the cards are relatively cheap right now. The fact that White Rabbit and Underground are only a 2 of because of the ban list means that you're not spending nearly as much as you were. I believe White Rabbit here was up to like $40 at one point. Yeah, $40 back in February. And it's just slowly shot down. It really dipped down after the ban list. You can pick up copies for just over $25, it looks like. Not too terrible. Same thing with Underground. Underground is about 20 right now, so not bad. Obviously, you're still gonna have to spend about $80 on this deck, but that's really it for the Malice core until we get to Alliance Insight, which I believe we did get the set reveal. The Malice card, the new one, I believe it's called March Hare, is a secret rare. So that'll be a little bit more expensive. I don't think it'll be $60, $70. I think it'll be closer to about $20, $25. But still, we'll see what happens when that set drops. Fiendsmith was the big winner of the ban list, obviously, and there have been a lot of market changes, and this is the main reason why I wanted to wait before doing a market watch on this. Fiendsmith Engraver, you can get super rares for $1. Original secrets are $10 to $15. You can get any rarity for less than pretty much $10 apart from the original secrets and the quarter century. Engraver itself is really cheap, and luckily Engraver is the most important card. You almost always run 3 of this. That being said, the other cards in the deck have also spiked up in price. Fiendsmith Requiem right here is $30. Fiendsmith Tract is up to $75, and Lacrima the Crimson Tear is up to about $50. So you only need 1 Lacrima unless you're playing a Fiendsmith focus strategy like Fiendsmith Kashtira, in which case you will need 3 of this. And then you really only need 1 Tract and 1 Requiem, so you're still looking at, was that 75, 50, 125? You're looking at about $150 for just those 3 cards, but that is the rest of the engine. Like, it is not as expensive as it was before Engraver got the reprint, but it is still expensive. Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi is getting really good support in the next set. I think that Mitsurugi will probably be in the top 5, maybe top 3 archetypes post-Alliance Insight. I think this deck is very real. I think it could be also one of the only decks that can still play Ryziel. Ryziel lost just so much. But just having a small engine to go into Ryziel, I think works perfectly fine. And Mitsurugi has had some price spikes. You can see Ameno, the main ritual for the deck, is up to around $9. And Mitsurugi Ritual is up to around $35. Now, it did spike up to around $40. This card is super duper volatile. There were sales around $30. It's going back down to around $35. I think this is probably one of the lower price points it's going to be at until we get to Alliance Insight, in which case this is probably going to shoot up a lot. I imagine this to be, honestly, I would expect this to be a $50 to $60 card after we get Alliance Insight, unless this is in an OTS pack, but there's not going to be an OTS pack until I think June. So if you have Mitsurugi cards, I would hold on to them and sell them after Alliance Insight. If you want to play Mitsurugi, I think now is your last chance to get them. at a price around $30. White Forest. White Forest has slowly been going up. There's a lot of people who believe White Forest will be decent. I have White Forest. I was a White Forest believer for a long time. I am teetering more and more towards the deck is below average. It's still a really strong deck. I think it's just not its time to shine. That being said, you can pick up some of the cards for cheap. You can see a Stellar, which is only a 1, 2 of, sometimes 3. You only play 3 and above 60, or above like 48, 50 cards. But you can pick that up for 7. But LZ right now is 40. LZ Azamina is 11, so not too bad. The rest of the deck is pretty cheap, supers and ultras mainly, so you're not spending too much money on this. Yeah, even Tales of the White Forest is only about $5. It's really LZs that are the main price point for the White Forest engine. Now, I do want to check the Azamina engine. It's basically just Deception of the Sinful Spoils that's expensive. Yeah, it's about $30 right now. That's where I expected it to be. Yeah, so White Forest is a good deck. It is strong. It can definitely top. I just don't think it is the best deck in the room. Vanquish Soul. Vanquish Soul is getting a lot of new support, a lot of decent support. People are really excited, and a lot of these cards got reprinted, but there have been some price fluctuations with what has happened. So Caesar Valius now is cheap. Dr. Madlove is cheap. Both cards that were expensive, but now are not because of Core Sentry Stampede. Heavy Border is another card that was not super expensive. It was in the 25th anniversary Dueling Mirror Tin, so it's about $2. Really, the expensive card, if I'm not mistaken, is, Rosin right here, which is not super surprising considering Rosin is the good card of the archetype. Pantera also got a reprint, so it's down a lot. But if you want Rosins, you're going to be paying $8 to $10 for them. I think that's honestly pretty fine. Having a deck that is essentially $30 for the whole engine is not bad. The only thing left, I believe, is Stake Your Soul. Yeah, Stake Your Soul is the only card, and this is, you're paying about $5 to $7 for this, so really, it's not an expensive deck. It is going to be more expensive for some people, so if you wanted to play this deck, sorry, you should have bought the Stake Your Souls when they were $1, and same thing with Rosins, and you should have been picking up the cards, as they came out, but it is what it is, Vanquish Soul is a really good deck. The support is, I believe, very strong for it. It finally gets more attributes that it can search. It gets something to do with the Rock of the Vanquisher. It's a good bit of support. But yeah, so that's Vanquish Soul. I want to talk about Mathmech. Mathmech obviously got Circular off the ban list, and you can see it is a $2 super rare from Power of the Elements. That's really fine. That's not really important. It's a one of. There's a lot of them around. You can find them in bulk bins. There's 2 cards in here that are actually very important to talk about, and that's Mathmech Nabla and Super Factorial. So Mathmech Nabla here is important because it allows the Ryziel deck to utilize the Mathemech Engine without getting locked into Cybers. I don't think this is very good. I think this is below average in terms of what Ryziel would need to really be meta relevant, even after it gets Star Ryziel in Alliance Insight. But it is shot up to around $1, $2. So if you have Mystic Fighter bulk, pull these out. Offload them now. I really don't think they're going to be much more expensive than this. It's a one of, and the Mathemech Engine in general is just so many bricks with only 1 circular. Superfactorial is another story. Superfactorial is an incredibly strong card. You can play it in Malice because you don't care about getting locked into Cybers, and this is just an insane card. Summoning the Alimbertion on your opponent's turn to hand rip and banish and just do everything is crazy. And because this is a solo print from Mystic Fighters, this is up to a $12 to $15 card. I expect this to get reprinted in a tournament pack eventually, but like I said, the next tournament pack is not going to be until June. So we're going to be stuck with a $15 Superfactorial for a while. Primate Lordly Load has shot up again. Not only did Blue Eyes not get hit at all, which, to be fair, nobody really expected it, we are getting new Primate support, and it is decent support, I believe. That made this to be a $60 to $70 card. Primate Lordly Load has just gone up and down, up and down, up and down. I still stand by that. I think that this peak right over here where it's 75 was a good point to sell it. I don't think it really got much higher than that ever. So if you still have them, maybe consider offloading them now, considering they are hitting a $60 to $70 price point. But you could also wait until we get the new Primate support. It's a toss-up. I really think Blue Eyes has kind of hit a ground, so to speak, in terms of it's not really going any further. It's still a good deck, but the hype has kind of died out. People know what to do against it. It's a low to the ground deck that just doesn't really compete on the same level unless you can, go first or play hand traps. I did want to go ahead and just look up the other Primate card, that being the Barrel Dragon. Yeah, it's about $30. It's a card. You're spending, $300 on an engine for 3 structure decks. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm just saying you could spend that on Malice, which I think is going to be a lot better. You could spend it on Mitsurugi, which I think will be a lot better. There's a lot of things that I would purchase before Lordly Loads, but some people really like the Blue Eyes deck. This Zulu Bellion, I just want to cover this. This did not get reprinted in Core Century Stampede, so it has gone up a little bit. Before it was $17 to $19 per printing. Now it's $25 to $30 per printing. If you want to play the Bestial Engine, especially in Malice, you will need these and 3 of them. Losing one Druis Worm does hurt the engine. I've been playing Bestial Control just a little bit for fun, and yeah, it's annoying to have a Baldrake instead of a Druis Worm in hand, but in a deck that just utilizes Bestials as an extender and hand traps as opposed to a main engine, it doesn't matter at all. You're only ever playing 1 Druis Worm, sometimes 2 if you're playing high Bestial counts, so just having 3 Lubellion just kind of doesn't matter. I want to cover Charmies. Charmies have gone up and up and up and are just wild now. Because Fuelos got reprinted, you can pick up a super rare copy for $18, which is still wild for a super rare copy. But you can pick up Ultras for $15. I have argued with people about this. This is why I believe this price difference happens, right? There's 2 reasons, right? One is either they look up Molcharmi Fuelos exactly, click search, and this is the only one that pops up, so they just buy it because it's the cheapest one. Or they look up Fuelos, get all the printings, and they just set the rarity to the lowest rarity that they know it is, which is super, and then they see, okay, it's the super is 18, that's got to be the cheapest one, even though you can pick up Ultras for 15. So save yourself a couple bucks, get the Ultras. That being said, I do want to talk about Perulias. Perulias have just gone insane. The original secret rare is 55. The ultra rare that is still on store shelves right now is 52. That's right. The ultra rare reprint and the original secret are within a few dollars of each other. So if you're going to pick them up, just go ahead and pick up the secret rare. But yeah, it's wild to see that Perulia is almost the exact same price per printing because it's so good against a lot of different decks right now. And Meowls, having only 1 printing now, is now the most expensive Molcharmi. It's almost $70. I know a lot of people are going for like Perulia Meowls, especially because Malice is a thing now. I do think Fuelos is better than Meowls, but Point is, Charmies are very expensive. I want to look at the Dominus cards as well. Dominus Purge is up to around $80. This is going to be played, I believe, in Malice as well as some of the other decks. Yeah, it's a crazy card. If your deck can play it, you should play it. There's an argument to build around this card for Fire and Dark decks. I remember I took this to a regional. I played Rescue Ace, even though I had the Fiendsmith cards. This is before OSS got banned. I had the Fiendsmith cards. I chose to not play the Fiendsmith cards because it conflicted with Impulse, and I just felt Impulse was so much better. I was proven slightly wrong, but I made my decision, and I still stand by it. This is a card that's worth building around. Dominus Purge, however, maybe not so much, but it is a card that is hitting up to $40. I still cringe at the fact that About a year ago, they were $8, and I said, no, I think I want to buy them at about 5. And then since then, they've just continued to climb. So we all make bad mistakes. This is why this is not financial advice, just purely opinion. But yeah, Dominus Purge is going up. It's about $40, $50. This is being played in Blue Eyes. This will be played in a lot of other decks, so keep your eyes out for this. Duke of Demise is an ultra rare from Maze the Master. This is being played because Unchained and Fiendsmith, I guess. Fiendsmith Unchained is a thing. This was also released in Master Duel before they got some other cards like Necroquip and Aerial Eater, I believe. So this saw a lot more play, and I think there's a lot more crossover of, okay, this card is actually decent. That being said, it is an $8 card. It has shot up a lot. I don't necessarily think this is worth the $8 price tag. But the fact that it's only a one of means that it's not a huge sink in terms of money. This is also a card that is primed to go crazy. If there's a zombie or fiend fusion deck, this card goes very, very hard. It is basically just a Seraphinite for the deck. And the fact that it's a 6 and a fiend means you can use it in all manner of Fiendsmith shenanigans. The Nouvelle's Field Spell. Nouvelle's got more support. It is good support, but as you can see, it went from about $4 to $5 to about $15. I gotta be honest, this is just a hype buyout. People are excited for the Hungry Burger retrain. They think this is going to be good. I don't think it's going to be better than anything else. I think it will make this deck better, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a good deck. That being said, if you opened a lot of Wild Survivors hunting those Vanquish Soul Ultras and Collector's Rares and all that stuff, you probably have a couple of these. I would offload them now. I would just sell at the hype point. They're not going to be... I would say this with confidence. I don't think they're going to go higher than this. I'll have just a Cycle Reader. This is a very interesting card. This was in, I believe, Dinka Bui's most recent Fire King deck. That's right, he topped again with Fire King. And this card has gone what I would say is terminal. You have the cheapest printing, which is the Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 printing, being $5. You do have the DT printing from that same set, but that was harder to get your hands on. It's still about $5. And then every other printing is rather expensive. Now, why is this going up and up and up? Well, because it is a double DD Crow against light monsters, which means it hurts Blue Eyes very hard. You can banish the Maiden of White and another card out of their graveyard at the same time. You can hit, I believe, Ryziel. You can hit like the Twins of the Eclipse and some other cards. It hits a lot. There's a lot of things that this does a decent job against. I don't know if that means it's worth the $5 price tag, and I don't know if that means Bystials are worse. The nice thing about this is a non-conditional DD Crow, whereas Bystials you require your opponent to control a monster. This doesn't, so you can just use it whenever you want, which is nice. I don't know if that necessarily means this is better, but it has shot up from about 50 cents to about $5. So if you have them, congratulations. If you don't, this could get reprinted in the OTS pack, but it might be a little too late for that. Magiky Spirit Vespartu. I wanted to go over this card for a very stupid reason. This card was in a topping Mermail list that played a level 4 normal monster. Why? Because this is a level 4 water that you can detach a card for an effect. You can detach a card on its summon to add a level 4 or higher normal monster from your deck. I don't necessarily think that's good, but it's a water. It's better than the other option you have, which is Snowdust Giant. Once returned, detach, reveal, and then, place ice counters. This does nothing, and you're required to have a water monster in your hand. This at least does something that gets you some advantage. I don't think it's worth playing a normal monster in your deck. Maybe you could play some Primate Mermail stuff, and this would be better. But at the same time, this is a thing that people are playing. It has not risen nearly as much as Snowdust Giant. Snowdust Giant, I believe, is hyping up because of some videos made by some various creators. If you have a Snowdust Giant, you can sell it right now for $2.50. I think that's the most anyone's ever bought a Snowdust Giant for. But Magiky Spirit Vespartu is another card that if you want to build Mermail but can't find a Snowdust Giant, this is a lot easier to find. Last few cards here, Cypress Wicked. This is being played in the Malice deck, not only because you can search a tuner, which means you can search the Adagnister cards. This is what really unlocks the the Malice Adagnister deck. This is a solo print from Savage Strike. It is only a common, so it's not going to be too expensive, but you can see it's selling for about $2 a copy here. I would just recommend going and looking through your bulk bins at your local card shops. They probably have a million of these. Lastly, this is a card that I think is going to go up in price because of Mitsurugi in Alliance Insight. Mask Restrict. Mask Restrict stops all tribute summons, or all tributing, not just tribute summons, tributing. So you can see a legendary collection of the Yugioh world. Monsters cannot be tributed. That just means in general, it stops the ritual cards from being able to ritual summon. Do I think that is necessarily better than some other options, like just running 3D barrier or running, something else? No, but I think this card will go up in price. I think it's worth maybe having some, especially since we're getting Monarch support as well. Monarchs go crazy, and Mask Restrict is anti-Monarch card. I think it's worth maybe picking some up if you don't have them. But I do think that these cards are going to be, that Mask Restricts specifically, are going to go up in price, especially once Alliance Insights drops. Well, that is it for me today, guys. Hope you did enjoy. This is a bit longer market watch than I like to record, but I wanted to go over everything that I could think of as far as the market is concerned. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give me some advice and suggestions for cards to go over, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace!